In the midst of this new environment of greed and violent competition, there arose a new cadre of leaders, usually men. These new priest kings replaced the old style shamans, medicine men and women, and spiritual guides of the Ice Age, who had led the Stone Age hunter gatherer bands through centuries of survival. In their place, humanity now was led by warrior lords who spent most of their time bragging about their battle exploits. New times called for new religions, and the benevolent, generous mother deity, entwined by the sacred serpents, who signified her affinity to the earth, was forced violently to give way to warrior gods who could lead the armed hosts to victory on the battlefield. Marduk, who was supposed to have killed his grandmother, the great serpent goddess Tiamat. Yahweh, who slew the she-serpent Leviathan and led his worshippers on a blood-soaked conquest of their new homeland. Huitzilopochtli, who murdered his sister, the snake-wreathed moon goddess of the Aztecs. New times also called for a new message in the media, and so the warrior lords forced the artists to carry a new and sinister content in their work. Gone was the awestruck admiration of the animals that the ancient hunters revered and depended on. Now there was a message of mayhem and conquest, subjugation and death. Poised at the very opening of the fifth and final cycle of the great long count sequence, the fifth sun, approximately 5,200 years ago, a man stood tall on the desert battlefield near the Nile River. His fist gripping his war club, he was poised at the head of a great army of fearless warriors. The man was Narmer, the king of Upper Egypt. Before him lay the inconceivable wealth of the neighboring Delta Kingdom, Lower Egypt. Narmer was determined to make that place his. Centuries later, historians would sing his praises as the great uniter of the two kingdoms and the founder of the first Egyptian dynasty. But on that day, Narmer was really not much more than a mass murderer. After the battle, he ordered his media manipulators to sculpt a powerful symbol of his triumph, the Narmer tablet, a small stone monument to the poster boy of the fifth sun, shows Narmer standing barefoot, a sign that he was doing a sacred act. Before him kneels the defeated and unarmed king of Lower Egypt. Raised high above his head is his war club. Narmer ritually assassinated the enemy king and immortalized the act, bragging about it to all who see the tablet even to this day, 5 millennia later. Not far from this grisly image are depicted the bodies of the whole leadership of the kingdom of Lower Egypt, lying dead in a row with their hands bound and their decapitated heads positioned at their feet. These men did not die in the heat of battle. They were slaughtered after the conflict was over. This was the first act of a long and sad drama that unfolded for the next 5,000 years. The disease of the fifth sun became global. Few communities were immune, and the perpetrators, who were the main protagonists, made sure that they controlled the ancient gift of communication that had been given to humankind at the beginning of the first sun, because he could control the media, control the minds of the masses. We now call the act of controlling media for sinister purposes propaganda. And that has become the hallmark of this fifth sun that we are now concluding. For 5,000 years, the population of the earth has been subjected to the whims of the Narmers of history, largely because they have controlled the means of the communication of ideas. The hideous but persuasively convincing message that these men caused to be carried by the art and media under their control, created the conditions for the perpetration of humanity's most horrific deeds and the inflicting of unmeasurable human misery upon the earth. These images here demonstrate the propaganda used by the Nazis during World War II against the Jewish people. These messages effectively proposed to the German people of the 1930s and 1940s that Jews were lascivious corruptors of Germany's women and children, that they had insidiously infiltrated every aspect of German society, its banking, its literature, and its education, and that they were the ultimate cause of all of Germany's economic and political problems. The propaganda was so convincing so as to persuade thousands of otherwise rational people living not only in Germany but throughout Europe to condone genocide on a monumental scale. As nefarious as political propaganda, commercial propaganda has for centuries espoused unhealthy and economically unstable lifestyle habits in millions of humans all over the world, persuading people to become dependent on a vast array of consumer goods that ultimately are physically self-destructive as well as financially ruinous. But now, at the conclusion of this era, amazing and extraordinary changes are taking place, in a manner much the same as that which first brought media in the wake of Stone Age technological advances to humans. Way back in the Ice Age at the dawn of the first sun, new technological advances have brought media back into the hands of the people, again now at the dawn of a new first sun. Now when a whole new cycle of 5 suns is poised to start on December 21st, 2012, thousands of young people wielding the 21st century version of the cave painting share their spirit-inspired dreams and aspirations. Their beautifully painted portrait of freedom, their melodious song of self-empowerment, painted in electronic brushstrokes of Twitter and played in the music of the internet. New artists, unfettered by the dogmatic constraints of the militaristic priest kings, are battling the usurpers of the fifth sun, and in 2011, Narmer was defeated in a bloodless coup, and Egypt was finally liberated when his new incarnation, Hosni Mubarak, was forced to give up his throne. This then is the accurate content of the message of the Maya prophecy for our times. The date of December 21st, 2012 is nothing more than a general marker, a specific date that in fact indicates a whole era, an era of hope, an era of opportunity. The opportunity to reestablish a sense of community among all humans of this planet through the power of our own artistic, symbolic communication. The immeasurable power of media has been returned to the common people of the earth. It is now up to us. The Maya teacher Antonio Ahik has suggested to use the example of our ancestors of the first sun 260 centuries ago to initiate a new first sun now that the galactic alignment has again dawned over the December 21st horizon. As winter solstice has always presented an image of beginnings and births, so now we are given the chance as a species for a true renaissance, a true rebirth. It is difficult to truly express the importance of the work being carried out by the wise teachers of the indigenous nations, such as the Maya holy man, Don Filiberto, of the Wukub Noh project in Guatemala, assisted by the support of his US-based collaborators, the Maya teacher Antonio Ahik, and Antonio's partner, the Taino indigenous spiritual teacher Miguel Segay, both of whom were featured in the 2010 documentary The Mayan Truth. Don Filiberto performs an indispensable service for humanity, surrounded by his native community high in the remote mountains of Guatemala. The uncompromising schedule of powerful, balancing ritual and meditation, which these people are dedicated to, allows the whole world to enter into the reality of the Maya calendric phenomenon. Miguel, an artist and teacher, is a recognized elder of his own Taino indigenous community and a much sought after expert on the topics of indigenous paranormal phenomena, who has been featured on a number of prominent network television broadcasts, such as Paranormal State, American Ghost Hunters, and The Haunted. He has traveled widely and performed ceremony in some of the most intense centers of indigenous cultural importance, such as Chaco Canyon in the southwest United States, the native mound builder centers of Ohio and West Virginia, and of course, the great power centers of Central America. Antonio is also an artist who specializes in the art of painting on traditional amate bark paper, just like his ancient ancestors once did, and who, with the help of his Maya collaborators, helps produce hand-illuminated Maya calendars for those who choose to follow the cycles of time via the genuine measurement of the ancient elders. With the help of the organization that Antonio and Miguel founded, the Maya Taino Prophecy Initiative, formed and sponsored under the auspices of Miguel's 30-year-old native religious community, the Canay Indigenous Spiritual Circle, Don Filiberto's Wukup Noch project in Guatemala has an opportunity to blossom and manifest the full power of the true calendar tradition, now on the eve of the great 2012 era threshold. We look to the people of the world to reach out to us now and be part of something truly epical, the birthing of a new human reality. We need your help to make this happen. Please contact the Maya Taino Prophecy Initiative and become involved in the greatest adventure of the century. We maintain an online presence at www.mayatainoprophecy.webs.com, where you can connect with us, find out the schedule of our upcoming international events, such as our lecture and ceremony series, and our pilgrimages to the sacred Maya sites in Guatemala. By doing this, you can be part of the work to transform the global human experience, while at the same time assisting the incredibly humble yet incredibly gifted indigenous people of the Maya calendar tradition in their unprecedented work. You can also contact us via Skype in Texas at 512-588-2466 or by phone on the East Coast at 412-969-4009. We welcome your financial support, and all contributions are tax-deductible donations that go toward the furthering of our work as a long-established indigenous 501c3 status not-for-profit organization. This is your opportunity to be a human manifestation of the 2012 prophecy.